He's got a PhD from BITS Pilani, a diploma in operations management from IGNOU, and BTech in chemical engineering from IIT BHU. He's also done additional training at the University of Warwick, UK, and Syngenta Supply Chain Academy, always learning and growing. Since 2011, he's been a professor at the Goa Institute of Management, teaching and sharing his wisdom with others. Let's invite them with the same energy you all showed just now. Dr. Raj V. Amonkar, everybody. A massive, massive round of applause. Come on, together.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction. And I'm indeed grateful to NAR and GIM for giving me this opportunity to share with you the little bit of knowledge that I have in the area of warehousing. And at the same time, I look forward to learning from you. In fact, I've already learned a lot from the sessions that I've attended so far. Right, so as mentioned to you, the topic is about the warehousing sector, the historical, current, and future perspectives. We learned from Mr. Amandeep today that the context is important. So I thought maybe learn something from him and share with you the context. What is the context behind this presentation? Well, first and foremost, some of you may already be aware, the warehouse is an extremely important component of the supply chain. So what then is a supply chain? Supply chain comprises of various stages, right from the raw material supplier, the manufacturer, distributor, and so on. And there, connecting these different stages, we have this component known as the warehouse, which plays a very important role. And of course, we have transportation, movement of material happening from one end to the other. So all these components, including the warehouse, need to operate like parts of a well-oiled machine. Most importantly, every supply chain is material-based. There's a lot of material which flows from one end to the other, which is what we call logistics. That's the flow of material from one end to the other. That needs to be managed effectively. So when I teach at the Goa Institute of Management and tell my students, when they ask me, sir, what is logistics? And when I tell them logistics is nothing but the flow of materials, then they say, why do we need you to teach us, sir? Well, then I show them my head. Most of the hair that I've lost is because of managing logistics in the industry. So my talk today would be a mix of my industry experience and a little bit of academic experience as well. Historical perspectives, I recall I started my career with a petroleum oil refinery at Mumbai. And I still recall, in fact, I spent 4 years at the refinery. And I still recall the 2 deadly fires that we experienced because of materials stored in crude oil storage tanks. In one particular instance, the fire happened at the refinery in Chembur, and we could see the smoke from Mahim, where I lived. That was the extent of disaster. And then I moved on to a company quite different, to an industry quite different. We were manufacturing powder coatings, specialty coatings. We were the pioneers for the manufacture of powder coatings in India. We set up this plant in Goa, and that's the reason why I moved from Mumbai to Goa, besides being a Goan by origin. But the reason for setting up this particular plant in Goa was basically the tax holiday which Goa is to enjoy at that point in time. You'll be surprised to know that Goa those days was declared as a backward area, and so it got the backward area benefits of an income tax holiday for several years, and also a sales tax holiday for several years. So that was basically the reason behind setting up of this unit in Goa. Once the tax holiday lapsed, or rather, the period was over, that's where the problem started. We had to pay sales tax. Those days, we had the sales tax and excise regime. So for selling our goods from Goa to the various dealers, etc., we had to initially do the invoicing from the Goa factory. But now, in light of the sales tax issue, there was pressure on us to set up a depot at Delhi. We did set up this depot at Delhi without any piece of homework. Well, there were a lot of issues. The dealers there were reluctant to lift the material from the warehouse, saying that this particular material is not fresh. We would like the material fresh from Goa. Besides the operating cost, the cost of operating the depot in Delhi was much more than the benefit that we would get by sales tax. And that's the reason why ultimately we had to close down the depot at Delhi. My third experience pertained to a company here again in Goa, an industry manufacturing crop protection chemicals, which was into exports in a big way. And when it came to exports, we were availing several benefits which were available from the government of India. Those days, we had 100% EOU status for some of the products. We were also using the duty drawback scheme, advance authorization scheme. And because of all these multiple schemes, we had a lot of problems in warehousing and logistics. Because the problem was the plant was in the stage of absorbing the technology. There was huge demand, but it was not possible for the plant to meet the demand, which resulted in a lot of imbalance between supply and demand. We used to import our materials from Germany, and I understand that the German suppliers are very, very strict about commitments. Once you place orders on them, they want you to respect the orders. They will not entertain any request to reschedule the orders or cancel the order. So the material was coming in, the plant was down, and because of all the complicated government schemes, we really did not know what to do. Ultimately, the government customs bonded warehouses came to our rescue, and we were compelled to store some of the incoming material in those warehouses. But let me tell you, that was not the right thing to do because our materials were extremely hazardous. And that's where I used to spend a lot of sleepless nights. What is going to actually happen to that particular material? But by the grace of God, everything happened without any problems, and ultimately we were able to tide over the crisis. Well, with this historical perspective, we now come to today. It is disappointing that I cannot reap the fruits of the good things that are happening today as an industry professional, but I take pleasure in witnessing all this happening despite being in academics. And besides that, I'm a member of the logistics panel of CII here in Goa, where I get an opportunity to interact with the industry very closely. And it's very heartening to note of what is happening today. A pragmatic government, a pragmatic prime minister, the PM Gati Shakti scheme, the logistics and warehousing policy has been rolled out at the national level. The same has also been announced here in the state of Goa. So we had a presentation by the MD of Goa Industrial Development Corporation today, and he has given us the details of what this policy is about. The best thing to happen is we have gone into a GST regime now. So all these complicated tax laws which existed are all gone. So what we can now do is design the supply chain, make decisions on the locations of warehouses the way we want on scientific and professional lines. This is what the academics papers, research papers say, that these are the critical success factors that we need to take into consideration for strategic decisions when it comes to warehousing. All this we can do now by making use of models, algorithms. All these things are available today. And today we also have analytics, whereby we can very well analyze the data and understand what exactly is happening. And because of which I see excellent things happening today. For instance, I'm delighted to inform you that there is a petroleum oil terminal which has been privatized, and it is located right here in Goa. It's a joint venture between a petroleum company and a private company managing petroleum products. One of the products is piped and supplied to the fertilizer factory here in Goa itself. If this has to happen, the products are hazardous, highly inflammable. So how is it that these things are happening successfully? They've adopted technology. They've adopted latest state-of-the-art practices in terms of having fire hydrant systems, smoke detector systems, proper systems for managing spillages, leakages. So all these warning systems, early warning systems, so all these things are possible whereby even a terminal we use for storage of highly hazardous products. I mean, you can do that. Another very interesting thing that is happening, manufacturing companies have realized that their core competence is conversion. Managing quality, managing the yield of the product, that is the core competence of manufacturing companies. They are uncomfortable, or maybe they lack focus to manage the other operations in logistics and supply chain. And now there is a lot of capability in this supply chain and logistics where we have logistics providers. It has gone to almost 5PL now. It started with 2PL, two-party logistics providers. From there it has graduated to almost 5PL, five-party logistics providers, where they manage the operations of warehousing, logistics professionally, which may not be possible for a manufacturing plant manager to do. And we see many of these logistics providers in Goa who have state-of-the-art warehouses. And I'm really happy to see them managing the operations. There was some mention about the Mopa airport having come in Goa. That's an excellent opportunity. We have an excellent opportunity in terms of setting up of warehouses for cold chain management. If you have an airport, there's obviously an opportunity to export products out of Goa, high-value agricultural products, fish products out of Goa. And if you have to do that, we need a professional setup of warehouses, cold chain management. And I had the opportunity of interacting with the agency responsible for setup of the Mopa airport, as well as managing the operations in the future. So they have state-of-the-art facilities at the Mopa airport to manage the warehousing operations. And I would urge each and every person who's interested in this warehousing area to harness this opportunity to the extent possible. Well, I now move to the current perspectives. I unfortunately missed the talk in the morning, but you had Mr. Sahil Barua, who's incidentally also on the board of Goa Institute of Management. I had the opportunity of interacting with him elsewhere, and I do understand the excellent work that the delivery team has done. And this has happened because of the tremendous boom in e-commerce. So from the historical perspectives which I spoke about, in what way is e-commerce different? The major difference, ladies and gentlemen, lies in how the supply chains are being managed in e-commerce. In the historical perspective, the examples that I gave you examples of single supply chains where there's a focal manufacturer, whether it's a petroleum oil refinery, whether it's a powder coating manufacturing, whether it is crop protection manufacturing. It's a single supply chain, and warehousing there pertains to managing that particular supply chain. Whereas here in e-commerce, on one hand, you have multiple supply chains to manage. That's why it is very often called managing the omni-channel, multiple channels. And besides that, in e-commerce takes you very close to the consumer. The heat is felt, the maximum heat is felt in the supply chain, the closer you are to the customer, the closer you are to the consumer. We teach about bullwhip effect to the students. The bullwhip effect is the ripple effect that you actually experience in the supply chain, the further away you are from the customer or further away you are from the consumer, the ripple effect is more. Meaning, when you're far away from the consumer, you get the impression that everything is going smooth, your plant is running to full capacity. But unfortunately, you don't know what is actually happening at the local consumer level. And that is what e-commerce is doing, addressing this challenge of managing deliveries to customers, to consumers directly. This, in turn, can result in huge opportunities. The consumers in large cities are projected to contribute 81% to global consumption by 2030. So this obviously sets up a huge demand potential to set up professionally managed warehouses in urban cities. I mentioned to you about scientific planning of a supply chain network. This is where we can use the models and algorithms that are available to scientifically design the logistics network for a supply chain. And if that is successful, the consumers would be happy, the entire industry would be happy. But the challenge obviously lies in meeting the requirements and expectations of the consumers, and for which we have the analytics which I mentioned to you about. To go further, we have big data analytics now, where we can manage the data and understand, preempt, what are the issues and challenges that you're going to actually encounter, and take prompt corrective actions before in time. A stitch in time saves 9, right? So this is the approach that we can adopt with sophisticated analytical techniques. And in one of the sessions, there was a question on new technologies. I don't know whether you've heard of Industry 4.0. Everyone seems to be talking about that. We had the first industrial revolution with the railway engine coming in, the steam engine coming in, sorry. We had the second industrial revolution with electricity. We had the third industrial revolution with automation and mechanization. And now we have this fourth industrial revolution because of the big D, D of digitization. That's going to work wonders. And the technologies associated with it, such as AI, ML, IoT, can work wonders for harnessing the potential of the e-commerce. And the research papers do make mention of how we can harness these technologies to our advantage with the help of effective information sharing, proper design of distribution centers, and we have reached the stage of using Internet of Things for transportation warehousing, RFID transporters, and Internet of Things for connected warehouses, intelligent transportation solutions, connected customer. And I also read a very interesting research paper which speaks about a smart refrigerator, a refrigerator which can replenish things automatically in the refrigerator by sensing what exactly is happening in the stock and give an alarm to the warehouse to supply the product. I mean, this is how research is going. It may seem speculative as of now, but who knows? It might seem pipe dream as of now, but who knows? One fine day it might become a reality. And let's all of us be a witness to this excellent journey that we see ahead of us. Once again, many thanks for your patience in listening to my talk. Thank you. I'll be happy to take questions, if any. Which means if either you've understood my presentation or not understood at all. Either ways, I'm okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. I just request you to stay back. We have one question. You can take that.
Oh, yeah,
My name is Satish Dandegaukar.
yes, please.
Yeah. Just wanted to know if we have any professional courses in warehousing, like a bachelor's or a diploma in warehousing for design and operations both.
Absolutely. We can offer professional courses in any area of supply chain management and logistics, whether it is warehousing, transportation, or whatever, right? We have multiple programs. We have multiple certification courses. We would be happy to design courses if there is a requirement for these courses. Thanks for that question. Right. Thank you once again.
All right, thank you. Sir, I request you to stay back for a minute, please. Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a round of applause. Come on. All right, now we would like to give you a small memento from our end. Can I please have Director West Zone NAR India, Mr. Ashwin Rasane, on this stage to join us and do the honor? Everybody come on, let's clap.